Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another interview. Today, I will be interviewing Kevin Clash. He is a world-renowned puppeteer. He's worked on the likes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, The Muppets, and he is most well known as being the main puppeteer and voice of Elmo for several years. Now, one warning before you watch the video. Just want to let you know that it does actually end abruptly because we ran out of time. So just expect that as it gets towards the end of the video, there is a cutoff. So there's nothing wrong with your computer. It's just sometimes these things happen. All right? Enjoy.
Hey, Mr. Jack.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm so far so good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. There we go. So I grew up with Sesame Street, so it's awesome to meet you.
Cool.
So I was
are you a future puppeteer or you like puppetry or what?
I do like puppetry. I'm not a future puppeteer, sadly. Though I do have many voices that people are like, dang, you're pretty decent at that.
So you grew up watching the show, huh?
Yeah. And Elmo was always my favorite growing up.
Cool.
Second place was Cookie Monster, but it was only because we had the same taste in treats.
Well, I already told you, I love Grover. Grover has always been my favorite. Always been I remember one time I had to do the right hand for the right rod for Frank, and I was freaking out. And I've worked with him over and over again for so long, but it was Frank Oz. I was doing Frank Oz right hand. So it was really freaking me out. But, when he sees that, he doesn't say it's okay, it's fine. He'll say, what the hell are you doing? So he makes it worse. But also,
you're in the moment like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, you're really messing up. You're not doing it right. But that's his sense of humor, and I love it. We have a great time.
So I'm curious, what was the first character you ever made?
Wow, it was actually Mickey Mouse. It was a little felt. You could get felt anywhere.
Yeah.
So Mickey was the first. Yeah, and then from there, I think it was it was actually my mom took me to a hobby shop, and I yeah, because they had little pieces of fur, and then I was into drawing, so they had actually a Disney book that you could learn how to draw Mickey Mouse and Goofy and.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this puppet there. It was a walrus, and it was just a head. It was gray, and it had two knobs for hands. And so I told her I want that, and she bought it for me, and I took it home. And I took one of my shirts, and I took the little knobs off. I sewed the shirt to the head, and then I put the knobs at the end of the sleeves, and I put like cotton all inside of it. And so I made it a larger, puppet.
Yeah.
And I took coat hangers and make rods for it and everything. And that was the next puppet. It was a Willie the Walrus, I think it was called. And I did that at school, in whatever class, whatever, I would always have the puppet and everything. And
so what comes first, the puppet or the voice, would you say?
Definitely the puppet. Because when I was young, I would draw the puppets. I would, I started build. The more I got advanced to doing it, the more I learned how to build the puppets. But you don't start doing the voice until the puppet is done.
Because you got to know what it looks like.
Yeah, you got to know what it looks like, and sometimes it's changing as you're building it. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of like changing voices, so weren't you the one who kind of gave Elmo the higher pitch voice? Because I've seen older clips of Elmo. I'm like, that's not Elmo. What?
Oh no, it's great. Brian Mule, which I talked about in the Q&A, he was this amazing, and actually he went on to write some of Magic School Bus, if you remember Magic School Bus. And he wrote a bunch of. He's been writing. He's a phenomenal writer and an amazing actor. And he started performing it, and that's where that wispy, raspy voice came from. And then, of course, Richard Hunt got in there and started screaming. And then I took it, and that's where that little falsetto, little voice came from. But that, and that's each time whenever I did Elmo, it was always going back to me being a child. and me being, you know, I loved, and I never got to do this with Elmo, and I never talked to him about it because you just reminded me of it. I love boxes. I just love any kind of box, any kind of cardboard box. You know, somebody would get a refrigerator from down the street. I want it. And then I would take the boxes and make little animated, you know, things in it and stuff like that. But everybody started bringing from the neighborhood boxes for me to do stuff with. And I should have incorporated that into Elmo, where, you know, at some point, you know, he loved boxes so much that he had a big assortment of them in the arbor at one point, you know.
So let's say you're playing Elmo, you're on set. Like, what's the position that you take? Like, are you just squatting the entire day? Do you have like a little chair to sit on?
No, we don't have no chairs, because the thing is, what's really interesting is John Stone, who was the major force with creating. He was director, you know, he was a director. He wrote the shows. He was at the beginning, and he actually he talked to Joan about getting the Muppets. He saw Jim Henson and the Muppets and said, you got to get them. So he was really instrumental in really getting everybody together. One thing that he said he wanted a studio set. He wanted a real inner city set. He didn't want it to be raised, which would have helped the puppeteers totally.
Yeah.
But he wanted it to just be a regular set. And so we have these little donuts, we call them. They're little round foam things with wheels underneath. And sometimes we sit on that, and then sometimes we have ones that recline, that have a recliner so we can sit back.
Gotcha.
And sometimes we just throw a long rectangular pillow on the floor, and then we have a little backrest, and then we do that. We puppeteer. It depends on what height we need to be. So there's different ways of doing it. We love when they do the sets where they're you know, they're up high, but that's what we do when we're doing. So when you see me running around that set, I'm normally on a big platform, little rolly with a backrest, and I'm rolling around, and nobody's pushing me, as me doing to make him look the height that he really needs to be. And it really works. The problem is when you get 9-10 puppeteers all
rolling around.
Yeah, you got cast members and you're trying to get them all into a shot. That's when it becomes challenging. But we found a way to do it. You know, once Letterbox started happening, that helped with helping with puppets, because when it was when it was before Letterbox and it was square like I'm in, puppets would be below. And so when it's Letterbox, it takes a little bit of the air off the top. So, yeah, but it's you know, we worked it out. It's, you know, it's going into its 56th, 53rd season, so we should have it down to a science by now.
I was going to say, by now you should have some sort of inventions to make it easier on yourselves. So I wanted to know, did you actually provide the voice for Tickle Me Elmo, or was that a stand-in or something like that?
Oh, no,
not always.
No, I did all of the, no, nobody, you know, now, you know, Ryan is doing a brilliant job doing Elmo now. But before him, no, now Ryan's doing, you know, if it was me, everything that you hear of Elmo's voice, it's me. And then, you know, now Ryan. So no, there's no understudies at all. No, I remember, there was 9 toys that I had to do audio for that day.
Yeah.
And so the person that's in there, you know, we actually was talking about her, Adrian. I forgot her name when we were talking about. Adrian is the woman who would do all the audios with it. She was fabulous. She was like Mama, and she was like a mother to us. And so we would go in and she'd say, okay, this toy does this toy does that, this toy does that. And she said, this toy laughs. And I said, that's it? She said, yeah, this toy laughs. And so that's what happened. You know, I had to do a laugh for it. And then I didn't think anything of it. And then I would say about a year later or something like that, I saw the toy. I was with my daughter because she was the baby at the time. And we was in Baby R Us, I think, like, and I was and I had a stroller, and I looked and I said, oh, and then I picked it up, squeezed it. I said, okay, that's where the laugh came. So it was pretty interesting that happened. You know, that was just you know, it can happen. It was a fluke.
I was going to say, I doubt that when you're in that recording booth just making laughs, you had any idea it'd be one of the most popular toys of all time.
No, it's something that, you know, you go in and I get my job done and I enjoy
Mhm.
myself with it, and I get to, you know, be around people that I really enjoy working with, and then you go on, you know. And matter of fact, like a week after that, I got a call from the product department that some analyst was saying by the end of the week, it was going to be the #1 Christmas toy for Toys R Us.
Mhm.
And then another analyst said it's going to be the #1 Christmas toy for Christmas. You know, and I was like, I didn't know what that meant. Okay, that's good. That's
Uh,
nice. But I had no idea what
yeah.
happened. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
So I know that for a time you were a talent scout for Sesame Street. What happens like, you know, for future puppeteers and stuff like that? What happens? So obviously you look for people who have the skill of the puppet, but like if someone needs to fill in, is there like a boot camp for learning how to do different voices and stuff like that?
Well, that's what happened with Matt Vogel. Matt Vogel. Uh, what we do is we become, you know, we teach it. And I was actually a part of all of the co-production. So I would go all around the world and find puppeteers for their characters for their Sesame Street. And it was wonderful. And what had happened is Carol was doing the Big Bird so much that he wanted to take a day off. He wanted to have Friday off because it was so much. Big Bird was
Mhm.
so, and so he set up an audition, and that's where Matt got the
Mhm.
job. And so we've done that over the years, and it's been amazing to go all around the world and find just amazing puppeteers. You know,
Mhm.
um, some never put a puppet on before, and it blows us away. Some was doing it in their country, and so we teach them how we would like them to do it.
Right.
Always fascinating. It's always wonderful to see the progress. Hopefully, because sometimes a puppeteer will go to a certain extent with the puppet, and then wouldn't be able to go all the way as far as making it come to life. But
Mhm.
when it happens where they just keep going, it's the most amazing thing. And also, you know, because I was trained and, you know, my mentor was Jim,
Mhm.
because he's not with us, or even if he was, I'm the one who would have to go out and say to these puppeteers, you know, listen, you know, this is something that I love to do. This is what Jim gave me. Now I'm going to give it to
Yeah.
you. So it was always wonderful that way.
How valuable was it like learning under like Jim
Oh
Henson?
my
I
God.
mean, greatest puppeteer ever.
Well, what do you want to? What is your career? What do you want to be?
So I work just at a hotel, but I kind
Well,
of actually.
I don't want to cut off, you know, I don't want to get cut off, but it was beyond amazing to
Mhm.
work with Frank Oz and to work with, you know, it was so amazing. And
Mhm.
that's why I wish that we could have talked more on the,
Yeah.
because there's so many things that I would love to talk about that I got to see Frank and Jim do.
Mhm.
So it's beyond wonderful.